You are now watching the True Mets Talk podcast, talking New York Mets baseball 24/7, 365, with your host, CP.
With the shot right field, stumbling start for Stewart. It's drilled to deep left field by Alvarez. He's homered in 4 straight games for the second time in he's homered in 4.
He said he's going to let more or less Pete Alonso hit free agency, and he hopes that Pete Alonso forces his hand in terms of giving him a mega contract. Again, this is Spark Notes. This is not direct quotes, but this is more or less what I got from the interview. He said he hopes Pete Alonso goes out there, hits 50 to 55 home runs, and forces Steve Cohen's hand to give him what he wants. He's hoping for that to happen. Let's not forget that Steve Cohen has the bag. He has any bag that he wants to give to any player he wants. Now, we also heard these rumors, these Mets for clicks articles from reporters saying, oh, the Mets are going to highly prioritize both Alonso and Soto if he hits the open market. Guys, I've been talking about Soto for quite some time here. Let's not get ahead of ourselves in the Juan Soto discussion. When that bridge comes, we will cross it. Because at this point, I'm worried about 2024 when it comes to the New York Mets and this outfield makeup. Juan Soto, obviously, you got to go after him and offer him the bag if the Yankees fumble that and they don't re-sign him. But I'm worried about locking up Pete Alonso. If Steve Cohen finds it within his wallet to go after Alonso and Juan Soto, yeah, of course you do that. And the Mets are right back to being World Series contenders after maybe a trade for another arm. Yes, absolutely. And that's how I foresee the 2025 offseason shaking out. But Pete Alonso, if he goes out there, we all know he hit 217, 219 last season with 40-plus home runs. We all understand that. If he goes out there and puts up a typical Pete Alonso season, 100-plus RBIs, maybe we're talking about 115, 120, 40-plus home runs, maybe even 50 if we're lucky, but he also gets that average up to 250 or 260, honestly, I would even take 240. If you're a batting average watcher, I'm on the fence whether I like batting average as the tell-all marker for a player, because I think it says I think it tells you somewhat of what the player's season was looking like, but it doesn't tell you all. But nonetheless, people want to see a higher batting average, understandably so, especially after a 217 type season from Alonso. He goes out there and does that, he's getting his bag. And if you know my stance on Pete Alonso, the projections that I'm projecting him at in terms of his contract is 8 years, $240 million. I don't think he's going to take a 6-year deal, although I would prefer that. I think it's going to take 8 years at the maximum. For me, I think that that's my perfect sweet spot for Pete Alonso. 8 years, $240 million. That's an even $30 million a year to make him the highest paid first baseman, which should satisfy him and Scott Boras both. What do you all think? What are the projections for you all? What are the projections? I don't think he's sniffing $300 million. I don't think he's sniffing $300 million. And the free agent market is going to hurt him because also you don't have just Pete Alonso hitting the open market. You have Paul Goldschmidt. I know he's 36 years old, going on 37, a little bit older, but that's a fallback option for teams that might not land Pete Alonso. That might force teams not to open up their bag fully for Pete Alonso. You have Christian Walker as well, who's still in the prime of his career. I believe he's 32 years old to go out there and sign. You have also Anthony Rizzo as that fourth first base option hitting the market. So it's not like teams won't have their options at first baseman. So we'll see how it plays out. That's a little sort of rant that I wanted to go on in terms of Pete Alonso. Jay's saying, hope Pete has a monster year and makes Cohen pay up big. Yeah, Steve Cohen was very transparent that he hopes the same. He was very, very transparent about that. And I like to hear that from the Mets owner. A lot of people are calling him out. They're saying that he tricked us. Who did he trick? The Yankees just did this with Aaron Judge and were successful in doing it. Why can't the Mets? They just did it with Brandon Nimmo and re-signed him successfully to a contract that was above what we should have paid for Brandon Nimmo, but they made it happen. Why can't they do it again? Be real, guys. Be real. That's all I'm asking you all as Mets fans. Even if you do lean towards the negative side and the pessimistic side, that's fine. I'm not telling you how to fan, but be real as a Mets fan and notice trends. This has happened before and it can happen again. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, Daniel, I know we have to see the numbers from Pete Alonso this season before we can put an actual number down. But like I said, I think that even if he has a down year, honestly, I would have re-signed him even after this year, which was considered a down year because he hit 217. He was still over 100 plus RBIs and he was still at 40 plus home runs. What more do you want out of your power bat? I know 217 isn't pretty, but it's not the end all be all. 30 million is very fair. Yeah, Daniel, 30 million is very fair. Very fair. A lot of people already don't think that he should be paid higher than Freddie Freeman or Matt Olson. I don't think you can compare the contracts of those two guys versus Pete Alonso. Multiple different factors on why I think that, but the Spark Notes version is make him the highest paid first baseman. If I had to guess, Vladimir Guerrero, after Pete Alonso gets his contract, is going to break whatever Pete Alonso gets because this is what happens. Agents and teams pay up, and these contracts are on the rise. So you can't compare what someone made yesterday to what someone else is going to make tomorrow at the same position, especially if we're talking about the cream of the crop at each position.
Thank you for watching the True Mets Talk podcast. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, comment your thoughts and opinions, and subscribe to the channel for more New York Mets content.